What's up, everyone? We've got an awesome special episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show. Look, guys, you cannot believe the legendary guest that we have today. Come on, introduce yourself, bro.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Trell from Team APS.
Wow, my gosh. Look, you guys don't know, I'm super excited. Look, you know who Team APS is, yeah? So don't front. If you know who Team APS is, and having Trell here is absolutely legendary. So, you know what, let's get straight into it. And I guess the first thing, if you don't mind, Trell, give us a bit of an introduction into yourself and I guess the Team APS channel, if that's cool.
Of course, I'm Trell. I'm the grandfather of the channel. I'm pretty old. I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For 20 years now, going on 21 years. So pretty much since the game has come out, been in YouTubing, your Yu-Gi-Tubing per se, since about I think 2011, 2010, and then I started with Paul roughly around I think 2013 to 14. It's just something we just grown with from there. It's been a great opportunity.
Wow, God. So I think actually, what would probably be my first question then is, how has it been kind of in terms of starting off on, and I'm going to ask for both Yu-Gi-Oh! And YouTube, starting off from like the kind of 2010 era of both Yu-Gi-Oh! And YouTube and then coming to now. What's it been like kind of being here all this time and seeing it change? How do you feel about the game and such?
It's been a journey, I have got to say. To say that I've been in the game so long, I don't think I would have been in the game as long as I have if I didn't think there was something great about it. And just first off, people who have watched the channel or who just know me, I'm a very competitive person in almost anything that I do. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Always allows that, so I never understand when people say, formats are bad or still or whatever. If you're going to play, you're going to play, and I'm going to play. And just even like Yu-Gi-Tubing as well, I never would have thought, it was just something that we just did, for fun, just get some videos out there, just be yourself, and it just kind of grew. So I never, and to say that we went from there to here, I couldn't have imagined. I don't think anybody could just sit in the house and just imagine that happening. In fact, it wasn't even a plan. I don't think we never even meant to get big, so to speak. We just did what we like to do. So,
did you guys? So, in terms of kind of a TMAS origin story, were you guys kind of friends already before? Was it some of you were, some of you weren't? Like, how did you guys kind of come all together and have this kind of awesome group together?
It was an amalgamation. And so Paul, Chris, and Calvin all went to the same locals. Okay. And I lived in another city, and I would travel to their locals from time to time to play tournaments, do sneak peeks, things like that. So that's kind of how we met. And occasionally they would travel out to my area for the locals as well. So we just became just mutual friends over the years. And we weren't really recording with each other then. We just, we had our own channels. We just did our own thing, but we were always in the same community. At some point, Paul started going to school in my area. And so he and I started doing videos together. That's where I met the twins. He already knew them. And eventually he just starts adding us all to videos. It becomes like a normal thing. People like the energy. They like the differences in opinions and, personalities. And it just kind of grew from there to just being a team. So the channel was always named Team APS even before it was just Paul, and it was always named Team APS. You know what I mean? But now it's officially, it actually is a team of guys, doing what we love.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the coolest things I think about it. Like just seeing it just seems like you guys are all boys, and just having a group of your mates that you could all play with and work with. I mean, that's legendary. I mean, it's similar with Dan's Sanctum squad, for example, having a group of guys that you're working with. I mean, that just seems like levels. It seems really, really enjoyable.
It's definitely a blessing. And being in the game, I don't think, again, that's nothing too. I don't think I would have been in the game as long as I have been if I had not met good friends along the way to keep me involved in it. And even though, let's say I'm the most competitive person on the channel, we still play, we still have fun, we still shoot ideas around. We still have like minds in the game, and that's something that that networking just in personal space will always keep you in the game. Like knowing that you have friends that are willing to play, that are willing to learn with you and things like that. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is great for that, man.
100%,
no,
110%.
Definitely sounds like such a mad journey because obviously in 2014 in YouTube specifically, it was such a different whole different landscape, thinking about things like monetization, being able to collaborate with creators of the actual games that you'd be playing for your channel and stuff. I remember something that really put it into perspective. I was watching a video where upvotes would decide on a comment would decide the last video, right? And it was the end of the video. It was oh, this is the comment that decided it, and that comment had maybe 100 likes, and this was an established channel at the time as well. And I was like, wow, YouTube has grown so much. Was there ever a point specifically for you where you were okay, yeah, this isn't just us having a bit of fun in front of the camera. This is something that could actually become the size of it is today and with the scope, or was it just something that kind of happened and you were just kind of took it as it came?
I will say that it just kind of happened. I mean, others may have different opinions on it, but I will say, just kind of a realization point for me was when we go places and people will recognize us. First off, we're Yu-Gi-Oh players. It's a very niche community as it is. But then, like, I've been places. I remember one time I was like in Texas, and I was just like at a random restaurant, and a guy comes from like the back of the kitchen, and he sees me, and he approaches me just to tell me that he likes the channel. You know what I mean? And so just things like that, where you're like, you know what I mean? Like, so just things like that, where you're like, it's Yu-Gi-Oh. Nobody knows about this. It's a niche community. Yu-Gi-Oh players know about us, but we're not like a household name. And then you go just somewhere in public. Or I remember one time we were in the airport, and this kid was with his parents, and he ran up to us for like a picture with us. Those kind of things make it real. And I don't think like I'm a celebrity or anything, but it feels good to know, to get noticed, for the things that you do. So it definitely showed a change, and it showed that, I guess we're heading in the right direction. So that was cool.
Yeah, 100%.
No, of course. No, go on, Fabz, go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna agree. I was even gonna say that. To be honest, I'd say at least in the Yu-Gi community, I'd definitely consider you guys like celebrities. Like, I don't know, like all of you guys are like, I can't think of more OGs that are like still heavily active now than like maybe you guys and like I guess DZ and Simo as well. But like,
sure.
I feel like you guys started before them, right? Maybe not Simo.
Yes. I think I'm definitely sure that we started before the Z. Now Simo, I really don't know. Simo just kind of popped out on me. Like one day he was just there, so I have no idea when he started. But I'm pretty sure we were before the Z.
Yeah,
so
you guys have been about for a minute. Yeah.
It's like the big three sort of like YouTubers. Like I don't have the figures in front of me, but I believe the top 3 subscribed to ones are yourselves, Team Sam, and Simo. I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Team Sam exploded out of nowhere.
Yeah, shout out Sam.
I feel like you guys are all like the same. Then Team Sam, he kind of had this unique strategy that he gone with, and it just he's
for sure.
Went to the moon, didn't it?
Yeah.
We're very happy for him too. So he deserves it.
Yeah. Is there like any pressure when it going into the actual game of sitting down and playing a match of Yu-Gi-Oh, being part of like such a household name of like Yu-Gi-Tube? Like, do you ever feel like because you're part of such a big community, you have to like, do you have that put more pressure on yourself as a player, or is it just okay, I'll just play and like that's that?
I would like to say there isn't, but realistically, I feel like there is. But for me in general, I'm just competitive, so there's always pressure because I'm trying to do well. But then there's always those times when somebody sits across from you and they're like, "Hey, I know you," and which isn't bad. But then it's like, "Hey, I know you, so now I have to beat you," type thing. And I get that a lot. I go to regions, I go to YCS, and they're like, "Oh, I know you from YouTube," and so their goal now is to beat the YouTuber as if I'm a pro or something like that.
As if it's almost like a badge of honor, right?
Basically, so I'm now a bounty at this point. It's always fun though. Like, what I mean? Like it's never a bad thing. I've never had an issue with it. It's just there's just a little bit more pressure to it because like, oh man, I'm a YouTuber. They want to beat me. They want to beat me just because I'm a YouTuber and they know my face. So now I've got to beat them just to save face. Which is ridiculous when it happens, right? So.
It's definitely. I can imagine it's definitely like some level of pressure, especially it's like because again, like you said, like you're the competitive one known on the channel as well. So I'm sure they also see it as like, okay, it's Trell. I have to have my game face on. Like, yeah, I feel like I'll be the same. Yeah,
I had somebody at a regional one time, and I remember what format was this? It was the format based when everybody was playing base, and I was playing base at a regional, and I bricked so bad, and my partner he knew who I was, and he beat the brakes off me. And he apologized after the match, and I felt so bad. I was like, bro, don't apologize to me. You paid your money to get to this tournament just like I did. Like, it's all good. He's like, yeah, but I know. I'm so sorry. Dude, no hard feelings. You won. Good job. Please continue to do good. You know what I mean? Like, but it happens.
Yeah, definitely.
I was about to ask actually, kind of goes hand in hand with my previous question. Have there ever been any, not necessarily negative, but just sort of awkward interactions that have come off the back of being such a well-known character in the community? Like, has there ever been anything at an event where I don't know, maybe people are interrupting a game or something like that? I don't know.
We've had a few, and nothing horrible. Just as far as being part of the channel, nothing horrible. We've had people follow us around before. I've had people interrupt games like just to like kind of like judge the game, kind of that type of thing or whatever. We also have to be very careful. We post on our social medias as well. You guys may or may not know, but I'm a father. And so one time I was at the event and somebody walked up to me and I'd never seen the guy before. And I don't have a lot of people to follow me on Facebook. That's like my personal thing for like family and friends. But like Instagram, things like that is fine. And I remember I posted a picture with my daughter on Instagram and I forgot about it. and somebody comes up to me in a YCS, and he was like, and he's out the blue, he was like, "Hey, I like that you're a really good dad to your father. I'm a good dad to your daughter." And he caught me off guard because I'm like, who does he know me? And I have to remember, like things like that, like nothing horrible, awkward. Yes, a lot of awkward moments. We had a time, and I won't be like too specific. We had a time at the YCS where we take a lot of pictures with people. And we went home. We just started reviewing the pictures, and there was this one particular guy that was in almost every picture, just in the background, some kind of way, just staring in that direction or whatever. And I don't know if it was a gag or anything, but it was a little, it's a little weird, but nothing horrible though.
That is a little strange. I can't lie.
It was a little weird.
It must be like a factor because obviously Team APS is so huge, right? Like I get it, it's okay if say if someone comes up to you after you finish the game and it's like, oh, okay, would you mind getting a picture or signing a card or something? That's chill. But then if it's someone who wants 7 signatures and 5 pictures, that must be a bit do you know what I mean?
No, and I've had somebody do that. I actually had somebody he pulled out a binder. He had one of those old school binders, the little 3-ring binders, and he was like, "I want you to sign." He wanted me to sign this entire cubic deck for him because he wanted to.
That was a big deck for you, right?
Oh gosh, it still is technically. Paul doesn't allow me to play it anymore, by the way. But yeah, he wanted me to sign this entire QB deck, and I didn't mind because he was like, "I'm going to put it on eBay." So I stopped right then and there. This is not the purpose of me signing these cards. So but yeah, I mean, we don't mind signing things. I'm not going to lie to you guys. For me personally, it's still weird to do that because I don't see us doing anything special besides just being Yu-Gi-Oh players and doing what we love. So when people ask for pictures, when they ask for autographs, things like that, it does feel special, but it does feel weird because I'm nobody. I'm nobody, but I appreciate that you want, to be a part of my space, and it's cool, but why do you want this? That's literally why I'm like, why do you want this? You know what I mean?
Do you ever have situations where maybe you're with someone who isn't necessarily into Yu-Gi-Oh, so just with a mate or whatever, and then again, I suppose someone comes over and asks for a picture or whatever, or asks for an autograph. Does that happen often?
Yes, actually. I was with a friend. I was visiting a friend of mine in another state, and we were just kind of hanging out, just eating or whatever. And somebody saw me, and he was like, "You look familiar." And I was making a joke. When somebody says you look familiar, I'll say something like, maybe it was an episode of Cops or something like that. I'll just make a joke or whatever. And then they'll tell me, "Oh, I know you're from YouTube," and they're like, "Ask for a picture and autograph," and I'll do it. And then my friend's like, "Are you famous?" I'm like, "No, I'm not famous." And now I have to explain to them, and they know I do YouTube, but they probably don't follow it as much because they don't play Yu-Gi-Oh. But now I have to explain to them that I'm signing autographs, and it happens occasionally. But it's happened quite a bit actually. So
It must be such a strange feeling to have your friend who's, I don't know, say known you from however long, then they see you as this celebrity kind of figure, and it's like, whoa, check out Mr. Big Shot over here.
and that good blessing you're trying to downplay, no, it's not what it is at all. You know what I mean? But it's just all even fun. I have some friends, and they're idiots. But I have some friends they purposely say, "We're gonna hang around Trell, he's a celebrity. We're gonna get everybody." No, that's not what this is. That's not. Not what this is at all. But it's all in good fun though. It's cool.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go into one of our first questions actually because and I think this is actually really interesting. I want to see what your opinion is because as someone who's played for so long, what has been your favorite format to play in?
That's not even fair. Oh gosh, I'm like a vampire. I've played through so many eons of the game. You know what I mean? Favorite format. My favorite format would probably have to be. I'm torn actually. I'm torn with this one. Either the format, the Shaddoll Necros BA format was one for me, and also I'd have to give it to when that grass is greener was legal. Those two formats separately, the beginning of Shaddoll's era and the era with when that grass looks greener was legal. Those were probably my two favorite formats to play in. To be fair, you guys, I did not hate this past format with Children. I want to make that clear. In fact, it's up there. I actually enjoyed Tier, even though I didn't play it that much. But those two would probably be my favorite. I don't think I have one favorite because I like a lot of different things. But if I had to just quantify, those two automatically come to mind. I'll play those two decks at any point in time, any day. I'm down. So
grass decks were so fun to play.
I'm waiting.
I think OCG has it, right?
Yes.
Has it. Master Duel has it as well.
Yeah,
yes.
I think when I started playing, it was just after people started playing the grass decks, and then the first ban list I think I was playing competitively, grass got banned, so I never really saw the full power. But the amount of thing is, it's not even like Maxi, right? Because everyone who talks about grass is like, it's just they want it back, right? Like no one's like, oh, grass should stay banned. Like it was like Zodiac format, right? Like, or the tail end of the Zodiac format.
It was tail end of Zodiac format, which, if you ever call it that, because Zodiac just never died at that point. But yeah, it was tail end, like a big tail end of Zodiac, and it was fun.
Oh, side note,
I loved it.
Maxi, do you want it back or not?
Yes.
Yeah, give us your like little 90-second pitch of why you want Maxi back.
Well, first off, if I'm being biased, the reason why I want Maxi back is because I play Beat Troopers and I can search it. That's my bias reason. I play Beat Troopers as a competitive deck. I like that deck a lot. I can search it. Outside of that, when Maxi was out back in the day, we didn't have so many things that could interact with it, that could negate it, or things like that. We have Ash Blossom, we've got Crossfire Destiny, we've got Call By, we've got plenty of monster negates. And so back then, when Maxi was such a huge force, we had a lot of interactions, but we didn't have a lot of negates. So my thing is, Maxi, very dangerous card. I get that, very dangerous card. But at the same time, we can actually respond to it now. It's not like, oh, you Maxi me, I either play through this or I lose, or both. Now it's like, you have Maxi, I might have a response to that I can stop you. Joe Lockbird, things like that. So I don't feel like people should be afraid of a card. And first of all, drawing multiple Maxi is very bad, by the way. If anybody remembers when you played Maxi, if you draw more than one, it's really bad. And so that's my thing too. Like, I don't think that Maxi is that dangerous because anybody can interact with it now. We actually have actual negates that are played now. Why did they have? Because we didn't have Solemn Strike and things like back in the day when it came out. We just had play into it or die, and we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Fair enough.
Just my spiel. Everybody has their own opinion on it. But
I'm gonna clip that as 90 seconds, and this is gonna be the ad on the channel now. Why Maxi should be back? Yeah. I think we're all in agreement here. Dan, you want Maxi back as well, don't you? Well, I think we're all fully.
Do you know what it is? Like when I started playing Maxi was at 1, right?
Yeah.
And like I've played like old formats where Maxi has been there, and like Trell said, it does feel somewhat different when you don't have those different kind of responses like Ash Blossom or Call By or whatever, and it does feel kind of different. I've played like a little bit of Master Duel, not too much though. I feel like no one else has his opinion in it. I don't care if Maxi comes back. I don't care. Like if it comes back, like I have my playset ready to go. Cool. Yeah. Like if it doesn't come back, like I've lost nothing. I think it would be interesting. For me personally, I like slower decks. Like I'm not really a big combo player. Like I'm a big fan of control and mid range. So I guess like I'm like the ideal sort of player who would want Maxi back. But really, I just take it or leave it. Like.
I was gonna say, like, imagine playing Runic and then dropping Maxi. You're feeling good. You're playing Runic.
Whatever, bro.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah. You don't lose. You can't lose.
Except for Maxi in hand, you're golden, bro. You're golden.
Well, speaking of which, Joe, what are you playing this format then? And I think it's really interesting as well because the format's literally just exploded. I went to locals today and I played 5 different decks and it was crazy. Like everyone, it felt like everyone was just taking the chance now to just explore everything. So what side are you on?
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say before I answer that, I was also going to say that's another thing I like about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that there's just so many possibilities to the thing. We always talk about what the quote-unquote best deck is, and usually sometimes there is a best deck, but there's always other strategies to counter. There's always other strategies that can win just as well. Like you said, we went to locals, you played against 5 different decks. At my locals, there's a guy that had been winning with a Buster Blader Despia deck because first off, Buster Blader lock is crazy, and Cashier can't really. It's Baguska all over again. Yeah. So just seeing different decks like that is crazy. Now, currently, I am playing Scareclaw Casteer, and that's only because I'm waiting for the rest of my Casteer stuff to get here. So I will be playing Casteer. I never played the whole format. I never stick to one deck in the entire format, but I will be playing it. I do like it. I'm also playing Beat Troopers. Everybody knows that it's not a secret. There's a lot of new insect cards that came out of Hypernova that I'm really excited about to play with, and I've been testing, and they are nutty, and nobody reads cards, so I went off of just lack of knowledge alone. I'm kidding. I've won like 80% of games because people don't read the cards that I play because I play a lot of weird cards. And also, Gold Pride is another deck that I'm playing as well, just because everybody knows that Punk is one of my favorite decks as well, and it's literally just Punk 2.0. So those are the 3 decks that I'm playing around with. Those will be the 3 decks that I'll actually be playing in the format unless something else changes. But Casteer, Beat Troopers, Gold Pride in that order. So.
Yeah, so today, actually, my first game was against Gold Pride, and their card. It seems like all of their cards just say special summon myself for free or something along those lines. Like there seems to just be a lot of energy, but then it's like you said, it did kind of just feel like Punk. It was just synchro stuff.
It's just Punk 2.0, yeah.
Yeah. So
in fact, next time you go out to Punk plays with the deck, so yeah.
Yeah.
The Gold Pride stuff is crazy. Like, there's someone in our testing circle who's like in love with the deck, and they've just been playing it. And like they've been putting out like it is kind of like a Punk board, but they have that trap called Start Your Engines.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's insane.
Not even
it's not once per turn. It's not once per turn. I've been preaching it to my local. Like y'all understand, you get 3 pops and 3 monsters. You cannot beat that.
Yeah.
Like you can't beat that.
Absolutely.
I can literally end my board with nothing but traps and make a full board and break your board. Like there's nothing wrong with that ever.
It's actually like I can see it like having like legitimate potential. You know, like how there's archetypes sometimes that people are like, oh, this is, you know, whatever, and then one person plays it and then it just goes through the roof. Everyone's like, oh, these cards are actually good. I can see Gold Pro being like one of those.
Like
definitely.
That deck reminds me a bit like kind of the early days of like the Rose Dragon deck. Like it's one of those synchro decks that you just one pro player is just gonna come and like mix it in with like 10 different archetypes, and then suddenly it's doing nuts board. So yeah, definitely
big 60 card pile sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's
I'm working on it.
Yeah, like, it's interesting as well because obviously we've got the 3v3 YCS. So I was watching round 1. What was it? It was one. I turned it on and there was a player who just got all of his zones locked by Castera.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, it's not easy. I think it was Christian Urano or something like that.
It was. It's exactly what it was. So yeah.
But so it's gonna be interesting to see if we see anything like Gold Pride. I think as well. The other deck that I think has a lot of potential, well, it must do because at my locals there were 3 different people playing it, and that's what I thought was funny that you mentioned it was Scareclaw. I feel like Scareclaw must be really good because everyone seems to be playing it now, and I guess it can do a lot of stuff.
Konami has a way of giving really good cards to, and I won't say bad archetypes, but to lesser privileged archetypes. Doing Hypernova, if it's Hypernova, Scareclaw got a continuous spell that says your Scareclaw Link monsters can be targeted or destroyed by card effects. It also allows you to banish any monster that you battle with, and it also, you can banish a Link monster to pop a card on the field. So that in tandem with the field spell, you're popping things, your Link 3, your Tri-Card is never going to die. And remember, he's a walking Baguska as well. So if you're playing against a Casteria deck, they don't have any interactions for it, like, because everything they do target. Right, so but they also didn't just sit defense. So you don't care about how many monsters they have. There's also the deck can OTK. Like the deck, I got 5 attacks off on somebody yesterday with 1 monster because the deck just one card is a full combo. So like I mean, like it's a high reward for low risk, and any deck that does that is really good in my standards. So.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, and one of the things I actually like most about that deck is I like decks that have link ones. Like everything you're saying about being 1 card full combo. When there's a link one, and then link 1 searches the field, and then everything specials itself.
For free.
In that deck. So
there's a lot of space for text in Scareclaw as well, right? Like it's not too huge of like a core. Like you have space for hand traps, board breakers, whatever, right?
Yeah, for sure. If you want to run that, I've been testing around with different things as well. With Thrust, I've been testing around. Another good comment from Photon Hypernova is the Casteria Scareclaw. That card is busted in Scareclaw because it has to go in defense anyway because you're playing Scareclaw, but it can attack in defense. And something cool that I've been doing, which is really dirty, is I've been playing Messenger of Peace because he can still attack under Messenger of Peace because his attack is 0. So I'm just 2600 at the body, just 2600 at the body, like and then that's crazy. So you can take a lot of things in. The opponents don't see it coming, so I love it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have seen that come. That's actually hilarious. Attacking under Messenger.
It's quite a bit actually. I'm gonna Messenger of Peace 2600 direct. We're just going in. Like,
oh my gosh,
it's fine.
So then I guess that leads us into my next question, which is what is, and I guess this is for all of us. So what is your favorite, and then what is the summoner mechanic that you feel is least balanced? So your favorite one and the one that you think is least balanced. Yeah,
it's in terms of extra deck or like main deck as well.
This is
like
all of them. So that's
usual
Fusion, Synchro, Link, XYZ, Ritual, Pendulum. Have I forgotten one? I don't think I have.
Tribute, right?
I guess, you know what? Just because Flanderers don't exist, we'll say Tribute as well.
Tribute.
But yeah, so what do you think, guys? What it is, I'll lay my answer first because obviously I'm lucky I have my answer first. So for me, I can't lie. I think my answer is actually the same for both, and I think the least balanced is Rituals, but it's also my favorite. I think, unfortunately, even though it's kind of cool that they're in the main deck, Rituals just whenever Rituals are good, they're always doing something degenerate, and then it's just the mechanic is too neggy. It's just, I mean, like you have Drytron, which is unfair. You have Gishki, which was hand looping people. You have
Necros back in the day.
Necros, you have Cyber
gosh.
They're always doing something unbalanced, but I just like them. I think the color's cool. I think a lot of the archetypes are cool. So Rituals is my answer for both, to be honest.
So like when you say the least, like what was the word in the question? Balanced. It was like least balanced. Like, Do you mean balance? Because you said rituals, and I was like, oh, you mean least balance, as in this doesn't work?
Yeah,
like
so
a lot of
it could be both ways. So it could be busted or it could be balanced. But my point is just that it's not fair.
That does change.
Yeah, so it could be good or bad. Yeah,
I think for me, my favorite fusion. Well, my favorite is fusion. I think because it's so nostalgic. Like there's so many fusion spells that are just busted. Like there's so many of my favorite decks have been fusion based as well. So like I guess I have that kind of bias as well. And I think there's a lot of counters to it that make it fair as well. Like you have things like non-fusion area. You have the fact that cards like Branded Fusion, Red Eyes Fusion, what have you, they lock you specifically into that archetype, so it makes you think about playing a little bit differently. I really like that, and it's rare that they're abusable outside of their own decks because Verte Anaconda is gone. In terms of like what I think least balanced is, I kind of want to say Pendulums, but Pendulums kind of fell off. So I don't know. I think probably. This is going to be a hot take, but I actually think that they're all balanced like equally. I think
really
in terms of So like, let me write this down. So fusions have got broken fusion spells, right?
Yeah.
Synchros, you don't need a spell. Same with XEs. They have one card XEs sometimes. Same with links, one card link combos, whatever. Like every ritual summoning deck that's been good has been broken. Yeah. So, do you know what I mean? Like, I actually think a lot of them are on a very fair. I think maybe Lynx is just a little bit higher, just because they're more generic.
So
so probably Lynx based on that, but there's not a lot in it for me personally. Okay. What about you, Trell? What are you saying?
Well, I think my favorite summoning mechanic would have to be Synchros. So I've been playing roughly since the game came out. There was a point in time where I actually took like a 2 or 3 year break actually in like 20 years of playing because I had moved away and was doing school and other stuff. And so actually when I came back to my home state and started playing with my friends again, Synchros are out, so I'd never seen them before. So this actually, you guys know, so I've been playing from like Go format, things of that, where you just play like Warrior Toolbox and stuff like that. So actually getting into an extra deck and actually having to learn it and like build my deck around that was something new and exciting for me. So Synchros, I just fell in love with Synchros like off the bat. So immediately that becomes my favorite summoning mechanic. Funny enough, the most unbalanced and which would have been my favorite summoning mechanic at this point is actually Pendulum. For me, and when I say unbalanced, it's unbalanced on both ends. It's unbalanced to the point where when it first came out, it was broken. I don't care what anybody says that the mechanic was, I'm just going to summon 5 monsters because I can. Doesn't matter what you have over there. 5 monsters at once, right? So that was broken because, let's be honest, y'all remember Pepe. Pepe was hit so many times and would not die. Okay? It was the cockroach of summoning mechanics because, like, it just would not die. And now, for me, seeing Pendulum summoning be such a task, is now unbalanced. To me, it's unbalanced now because now you just lock out the zones, right? The zones have changed. I can just lock out one zone. Your entire deck is dead at that point. So, on the one hand, it was unbalanced before because it was too broken, and now it's unbalanced because it's such a task to make it actually work and function competitively. So, those are my answers.
100%. And I agree. One of the interesting things about Pendulums as well is I feel like compared to all the other mechanics, that's the only one in Konami, it seems like they really are aware of like the mistake they made with it, and they don't want to give any room to Pendulums. Like any opportunity they can to hurt Pendulums, they take it. Like
they do.
Yeah.
Like they did a poll before. Konami did a poll before. Like what was everybody's like least favorite summoning mechanic, and Pendulums was like bar none was the top. Like no, we don't hate Pendulums. It was a obviously a long time ago now, but they did one, and everybody hated Pendulums. Like, and like you said, obviously Konami felt like, we might have done something wrong here. So
yeah, when Pendulums first came out, they were, I think, even like for example, like Cleaforts. When Cleaforts came out, that deck was just frustrating.
Yeah, Cleafort was the first full Pendulum deck that we had. Like that actually like their function, and that deck, that plus Skill Drain, plus Vanity's Emptiness, plus big monsters. Like bad idea.
I feel like Cleafort, like I didn't play this format, but I feel like the thing that always interested me from an outside point looking into Cleafort was that Pendulum decks are typically, make a load of negates, like summon a load of monsters. Cleafort almost kind of seemed like the genesis of like, true Draco type archetypes, right? It was just you summon a guy and then you set a load of floodgates. Like that, to me, that's not really Pendulum on paper, but then I guess suppose at the time, the fact that you could get the big monsters out so big, like so fast, was just what made it broken, right? Because of that Pendulum mechanic.
Because we didn't have much background negation when it first came out. I think we had like MSCs and stuff, but you were running so much unorthodox stuff to actually to out it. You know, having to put in like anti spells, having to play like master restrict, like bad cards. You know, for just to try to stop a deck. You know, because Towers was a crazy card as well. And like I said, so it wasn't a traditional pendulum deck, but you knew that every turn there was going to be a board full of pendulum monsters that you could not stop, and it was a little frustrating if you weren't prepared for it.
Yeah, it was really, really ridiculous. Yeah, and then it's like, even moving on from that, I'd say like, one of my favorite formats was Eternal format, and like during that period when pendulums used to make their boards, like even this is, and I guess this is after the Marshall change as well. I can't remember if it was before or after, actually, it might have been before, but the boards pendulums used to make were actually really obnoxious. Like, they would genuinely have, this is the whole beginning of the whole triff, like 12, 13 negates, but genuinely they did, because you'd have like 3 Jackals and then 2 Endymions, and then you'd also have Cypher.
Appaloosa for 4 as well.
Yeah, and then also, this is the point when obviously the Guard Dragons were still out, so sometimes they're summoning like,
Hot Red.
Yeah,
Hot Red, Crystal Wing, things like that, yeah.
Yeah, like it was really, as much as I loved it because that's what I was playing then. It was really, really obnoxious.
Yeah, but like then they released Nibiru and Dark Ruler.
Yeah, well, yeah,
and it was a little bit more balanced, shall we say?
Yeah, funnily enough, that was why they hit Servant initially, because for pendulums you didn't care half the time, because as long as you had Servant, you were getting a negate before they got their nib out. So it's like you either nib or imperm, you weren't even getting hit by that, which is really, really good. But yeah, definitely pendulums back in the day was I would agree and say it wasn't balanced or
I loved it.
It's not balanced well now. Yeah, I say I loved it as well. I think there's a lot of cool pendulum archetypes as well. Like I'd probably say after Ritual, pendulum would probably be my second favorite as well. But then moving on from that, so let's go on to our next topic. And so this is going to be right.
Let's go.
This is a bit of advice. And I feel like both me and Dan are definitely gonna get our notebooks out and figure out. So, as someone who I think I'll definitely say it's fair to say that you guys on Team APH, you guys have made it in terms of in the Yu-Gi-Oh sphere. Like, you guys are well-established creators. You got amazing channel, always doing great content. So, people who are aspiring creators who want to get into the Yu-Gi-Oh sphere, what would you say is kind of like some tips just in general for making it, and also for staying there? Because I feel like it's one thing to make it there, but it's another thing to be there for so long and still be a force for so long.
And all my advice is very cliche, but it's something that we've all stood by, so I'm going to continue to stand by it. Number one is be patient. Mm-hmm. We did not grow overnight. Again, we were doing this for a while before we broke and got big, so to speak. So being patient is the thing. If you're not patient, if you can't wait for the return, so to speak, then this is not for you, because it gets frustrating. There are times where you're like, I'm just not growing. But it does it does pan out. It does. I mean, I feel like it pans out, if you put the work in. And that's my next thing, is be consistent. Mm-hmm. People say, they want to Yu-Gi Tube, they want to do videos, and then they're posting once a month. That type of thing. Like, you're not putting yourself out there enough for people to recognize you. Mm-hmm. Like, because at one point, I'm pretty, and we don't do it as much now because we're way busier now. But at one point, we were pumping out like 3 to 5 videos a week. You know what I mean? Like, we were obnoxiously in your face. You were going to see us in your sleep. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to see us, and that matters, because even if we hadn't got big, because we cannot be a big channel, but our face, that type of thing. You know what I mean? So we want to make sure that you see us. Another thing too is be yourself, and what comes with that is that's simply said, right? But when I say be yourself, know what your strong and your weak points are, because that matters. You know what I mean? So as you're progressing in your channel, some people, like, I'm a very high energy person. I move a lot, I talk fast, I'm loud, those type of things. That's my energy. Some people aren't that. But if you know that about yourself, then you base your channel around your personality to where it can suit other people's needs. A lot of people get into this type of business and they try to be something that they think the people want, but it's not who they are. So eventually they crash and burn to that, because you can't keep putting up that facade after so long. Like I said, we've been at this for years. This is who we are. You know what I mean? Like, we're not changing anything about who we are. So I'm loud and all the other things. Paul's who he is. Paul's very informative. He's very analytical. These are things about us that we know, that we love about ourselves, and so those are things that we promote about ourselves personally as well. Another thing too is, and this is a very controversial one, because it's kind of subjective. Don't make enemies. Like, we never. I'm not saying we never made any, but we haven't tried to. Like, don't, like, your goal should not be being malicious. Your goal should be being petty, drama, thing like. We've stayed away from a lot of things that that could cause issues for people in general. And some people, like I've told somebody before, a viral video is a viral video. Like, you go viral, you get a lot of views, a lot of people like that. But the problem with that is your next video has to be a viral video, or nobody cares. But if you're just being, if you're just being even keeled, doing your own thing, and continue to do that thing, they know what to expect. They like it or they don't. But if they like it once, they're gonna like it again. And so we've been consistent in who we are in regards to that. And also, my last thing to tell people: do not do it for the money. Okay, do not do it for the money, because if that is your plan, if that is your goal, you are going to be sadly mistaken. Because one, YouTube changes like the day. Okay, first off. And two, like I said, I mean, granted, there have been people who have been able to to live off of this. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but understand if that is your number one goal, it's too soon to think about that. You know what I mean? Like, have fun with it. Like your goal should be either to have fun, be educational, whatever that goal is. But if your goal is I want to make money, you're already in a bad position because you're gonna lose patience after some point. So
yeah, I think with YouTube specifically as well, like I think people who go into it with the mindset that I want to use this as like for money is like, okay, but it's not as easy as you think it is, right? Because like it's a similar sort of thing that it is in the music scene, right? Because like a lot of people think that that's like an easy way to get money, but actually it isn't, and it is very similar with YouTube. Like you reap what you sow, right? And I feel like to do YouTube and like to do anything creative, really, like you have to love it, right? And you have to want to be able to put it out there just for the love of putting it out there, and anything that you get afterwards, it should almost feel like a bonus. Like, is that a fair way that you should look at it? Or
that's really what we've always said. So we never expected to get big or anything. We just did. We were having fun making videos on camera, being ourselves, playing Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a game that we love. And anything that comes from that, the money or the sponsorship or just the fans, because I hate calling people fans, but even just the fans or whatever, all of that is a bonus. Like, it's just something that we're blessed to have as an opportunity for what we're doing. So yes.
Yeah. This is a question that I had for you personally, Trell, that I was wanting to ask. So, obviously, you have Team APS Plus as well now, right? Which is it's videos that it's a lot more of like just Paul like kind of talking and stuff. But I've noticed that like a lot more of the team members have started to take part in it. My question for you was, what do you prefer doing? Do you prefer doing like the more chill, like discussion based content like on Team APS Plus? Because from a personal perspective, like I remember you guys used to do like the mini podcasts and stuff on the main channel, and like that was always content that I always thought you really excelled at. Like it was just so interesting to hear all you guys' different opinions and stuff. Or do you prefer doing things like the skit videos, openings, things like that? Like from your perspective, what's more fun to do?
Well, I hate openings, by the way, because I suck at pulling cards, so everybody knows that. Hands down, I hate openings. I don't mind doing it with the guys, but they know I'm going to pull the worst cards. Don't put me in your video. But Paul and other guys know I love skits. Like I am ready to get out there and act and move and do things. Skits is my favorite thing to do. Now, as far as the discussing the podcast, I do like when people like pick my brain because I'm more than just like just loud person that moving a lot. I do have some cool thoughts every now and then. So when we are doing podcasts, when I am being asked questions or interviewed and things like that, I do like that side as well because it does show duality. I have been in the game for a long time. I don't think I know everything, but I know quite a bit about the game just in general. And I feel like my knowledge can help some people. So skits number one. If you have asked me, Trey, what do you want to do? I'm gonna say a skit. Paul knows. Yeah. He's like, hey, I got a video. Is it a skit? I'm always that person. Like, that's who I am. But in general, the skits and like just discussions between, just like bouncing ideas off each other is something that those are my two favorite things. Not openings. And by the way, you guys, these challenges are a fluke. They always set me up to lose. I want to put that out there. Paul's going to disagree with me, but I feel like they always set me up to lose. So
it's fixed. It's a fix.
It's definitely fixed.
Quick side note, Trell. Are you familiar with Dauntainment?
Of course.
I was just about to say, I was like, because funny enough, that's how I used to think of. So Dan, for reference, Dauntainment basically they're another group of guys on YouTube, and they do a lot of skits and stuff on YouTube. Like it's literally imagine Team APS, but not nothing to do with Yu-Gi-Oh! And they only do skits. Okay. But basically, yeah. And funnily enough, when I first started watching Team APS, that was kind of the thing in my head. I was like, oh, this is like Dauntainment, but it's just Yu-Gi-Oh! That's even better.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, that was a quick sidebar from my question.
I must admit, like, it was really refreshing seeing like the skit kind of content because, like, I think around about the time I really got into Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Tube and stuff like that, it was like 2018. So it was like kind of Firewall format, and obviously you guys are doing a lot of skits around that, like the skit with I think it was the first skit with Larian. I can't remember what it was called. You had the band deck, yeah, and like they locked you up and stuff. And they had the skit with the ban list as well. When you were like, I just want to get construct free. I just thought that was so funny. Like it was so refreshing as well. Like
real quick, real quick that a few people actually thought I went to jail for real, you guys. I don't know where they came from. But people, I actually like so many people that watch this and stuff. They really thought I went to jail. And granted, Larry, he's actually law enforcement, but like people really thought that I got arrested. I'm like, it's Yu-Gi-Oh. It's Yu-Gi-Oh. But no, some people really thought, oh man, we're glad to see you out. Oh, what? Like what was I?
It was like Trell fresh out the big house.
What's some of the stuff that like goes into doing that? Because like, is it like I can imagine it must be like huge amounts of work on the back end of like creating those like writing scripts. Like, yeah, what is that like?
It's a process. Now Alec is our he's typically our resident script writer. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, I think it was mostly Paul and Alec, and we would always kind of bounce ideas off each other, and we still do. But Alec is the one that mainly writes the scripts these days. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, like it's so much because we would do 8 hours of recording for like a 3-minute video. So people don't understand like the work that goes into this sometimes. Like we did a video one time and I remember that video was I remember the recording was about 9 in between like recording and setup like 9 hours. I was famished after that was done. And that video turned into like a 3.5-minute video. And it was a great video. Great. I love the video. I even remember the video. I love it. But it's just like there's so much that goes behind it, different camera angles. You would think we were producing a real movie. And that's another reason why I love it. I love doing with these guys though, because they do take the craft seriously. They do want it to come out right. It does look good at the end. There's a few flubs here and there, but some things just can't control. But like everybody's really good about detail, and we all get along really well about it too. Like there's no arguing about ideas or whatever. We bounce them off each other. We talk about them. But the process behind it is lengthy. In fact, sometimes we take a whole day before just to talk about it, and then the next day we're still talking about it while we're recording. So like it's time consuming. That's also why I'm not in as many videos as I used to be, because I'm a very busy person too. So just trying to get everybody together is very hard. We all have our own lives. A lot of people think that we don't work. A lot of people think that we all just live in one house and we don't work and we just make YouTube videos. But it's not the case. We all have individual lives and we're very busy. So
that does lead me on to another question I had for you, actually. Okay. So obviously you mentioned before we started recording that you used to do YouTube videos on your own channel, right?
Uh-huh.
So now that you're now you're in Team APS and there's like 7 of you guys, like what would you say is the biggest difference between working with obviously like a big team like of other like-minded creators and then just working like on your own on something? Like would you say there's like pros and cons to both of them?
For sure. I mean, who doesn't think about that in recording, right? Like, now for me personally, not going to speak from my side, but again, I used to do my own videos, and so the pros doing my own videos is that everything is strictly up to me. Whatever I choose to do, I don't have to run it by anybody. Whatever I want to do, I want to walk around naked. Not saying I'm doing it, but I can't. You know what I mean? Like it's so up to me, right?
OnlyFans again. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's totally up to me, right? But in the group, in a group setting, we do bounce the ideas off each other. We have to make sure everybody's comfortable with something, make sure everybody agrees. Again, there's no fighting, but at the same time, there's a level of confidence and respect that goes along with that as well.
Yeah.
There's also like the cons of working by myself is this is so much work. Like I remember having to record my own skit and just like having to get camera angles, having to do different lighting, having to do like just so much of the stuff is like a lot of work. Whereas when we have a lot of hands on things, there's always somebody that can give you like B-roll. There's always somebody that can make sure you don't forget things. There's always like different minds. Like, hey, that line doesn't sound right. Let's try this instead. Those type of things. So like again, definitely pros and cons. There's actually more pros to working with the group than cons. I will say that, and I'm very very grateful for that. Because there's sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, there's just some days, I don't feel like it. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure it's like having a job, right? There's some days you're like, I just want to phone it in, but I've got the guys support, in that regard, or sometimes I'm just not in the video. But if I'm not in the video, it's not hurting anything because we have other guys that can pick it up as well. So it's definitely a lot of pros to having a group. And the biggest pros of being by yourself is that it is totally upon you, whatever you want to do. There's no regrets. There's no, you shoot first, ask questions later type thing.
Yeah, so 100%. Yeah, and that's one thing I'd actually say, because funny enough, so like, I've been doing my channel for about 2 years now, and that's I think really the whole notion of like doing it by yourself sometimes is so tiring, and that's one of the reasons why. So Dan, Dan was obviously part of Sanctum Squad, and then he came on this podcast and really kind of helped me like set up and actually like start doing some actual work with it, and like just that change, having one other person to help is huge. So I can imagine having
it's huge, huge relief. That thing too, like when I got into YouTube, I'm gonna cut you off. When I got into YouTube, that's another thing too. Like, I mean, I can be in front of the camera all day, but I didn't know a whole bunch about cameras and things like that, equipment and stuff. I push click. I mean, I click record, I jump in front of it, I do whatever. Whereas, meeting Paul, and Paul, he's very good with these type of things. He's really good, with the equipment, with cameras, all that kind of stuff. And so, and just seeing how the level of care that he has for his videos, for his pictures, for the things that he produces, just the respect that he has for his own craft, that helped me grow as well. I've learned so much just working with these guys. Because again, it's different mindsets, different knowledge that we all can share upon each other. So, I would have never gotten that just being by myself. I mean, granted, down the line maybe, but just being in the environment all the time with other guys, I've learned so much. I'm grateful for that. So,
quick, who in the group is the perfectionist? Who's in the group that's like, you know what, this ain't going out unless it's perfect?
Everybody but Larry.
Oh, really?
Everybody but Larry.
Larry's just like, you know what, guys, let's do it. Let's wrap it up.
Larry's like, I'm here, push the button, let's go. We're like, that's not how this works. He's like, no, it is. It is. No, it is. Because if the picture's bad, pause it up, let's do it again. If I don't like how I do my line, I'm like, let's do it again. Larry's like, I'm done. I'm done. Larry, we gotta do it again. Nope, not today. Nope.
Love it. Right.
Nice.
Sorry, Dan. I'll let you go first before I introduce.
No, I feel like I've really been picking your brain here, Trell. Apologies, but I guess the only other question I had, because obviously, before I came onto the channel, I was with some friends early who played Yu-Gi-Oh, and I was like, I'm going to speak to Trell today. Do you have any questions you want me to ask? One of the questions that someone brought up to me, and I thought it was really interesting because you touched on the YouTube advice and stuff before, but is there any different YouTube advice you'd give specifically based onto a team-based channel? Because, like we said, there's a lot of different things that you would have when you're going into it on your own versus in a team. Are there any particular things that you say to maybe look out for, or do differently or anything like that? Just because obviously it is very different, right?
Oh God, yes, it is. If I had to say, just in general, just thinking in the moment, having an understanding is very important. So we're all just like-minded friends that came together, but at some point, this has become a brand. And when it becomes a brand, that means it's a business. So at that point, you need to have business boundaries, you need to have business agreements, things of that nature. So if this is something that you're planning to do with the group, those type of things should be in your mind. You never want to think, oh, it's my friend, no, nothing ever happened, things like that. And I'm blessed to say that we haven't had any controversy in our channel. But again, this is, and I say our channel, but again, this is a brand. It is a business, and if you're ever going to go in business, you know how you do business. So I'm not saying writing up contracts or anything like that, but everybody should have an understanding of what's to be expected, what's to be done, those type of things. That's very important. You can lose friendships that way. I'm just going to be honest, and I would hate to lose the friendship in Yu-Gi-Oh over something so simple as that because you think that it would never happen. We do well with communicating. We do. Another thing that I'm thankful for as well is that we do well with communicating. But again, once it becomes a business, once it becomes something bigger than just a little garage video recording, then at that point, let's discuss some things. Let's discuss our goals. That's another thing to have goals. At some point, you're past the just recording and getting your garage thing. Have goals. Where do we see this? And let's actively work towards attaining that goal together. And suffice to say, if there are not like-minded people on the channel, and it does happen from time to time, sometimes people have to move around. I'm not trying to be negative when I say that, but again, once it becomes a business, it is a brand. You are working towards a brand. You have to treat it as such as well. So think about that. That's my biggest one, actually.
Yeah, I guess you have to make sure that everyone's on the same sort of wavelength, right?
Indeed, definitely. And you're not always going to agree all the time, right? You're not always going to agree all the time, but it's always finding the comfort level. It's always finding, the respect of others, that type of thing. And like I said, we were blessed to be friends. It's not like, we didn't just get hired and just kind of have to learn each other. We were blessed to be friends, know each other, to regularly talk to each other and things of that nature. And hopefully anybody in Yu-Gi-Oh! For sure, if you're starting a group, at least you guys will have some kind of background, besides Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I also know that, this is me personally, but I've always told people, if our only connection is just Yu-Gi-Oh!, our friendship isn't that strong, and that's just me personally. Now, granted, Yu-Gi-Oh! Could have been what started it, but if our only connection is Yu-Gi-Oh!, then we don't have that strong of a connection. We're just, because if we don't have the game, what do we have? And that does kind of that means that people don't understand that until it actually happens. But again, I feel like even if Yu-Gi-Oh! Was not a thing, there's still other things that we could do together, as a group of guys, as friends, and still be just as strong. So that's also very important too.
I get that. That's That's really like interesting way of looking at it. Like, I feel like there's a lot of wisdom there, Trell. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah,
shout out.
definitely. I think as well, especially what you just said about having a specific goal as well. Like thinking about like that as well is true. Like, yeah, there should definitely be something that you're working towards, right? It shouldn't just.
Yeah, right. You put so much work into your craft. Like, what is the purpose? What is your goal behind it? You know what I mean? So it has to be for something, especially like because like I said, sometimes it's a lot of work, and like I said, the money is not the reason why I'm here. I mean, it's just not. I do enjoy what I'm doing. I'm not. I have a blast with these guys. Yeah. Again, if I did not, I would not be here. So understand why you're doing what you're doing.
100%, yeah. 100%. Actually, on that as well, Dan, thank you for reminding me because I actually have a question that someone asked me to ask as well, which is essentially they were asking, where are some of the other Team ABS guys? So they said that some of the other guys like Calvin and such haven't been around. Are they still around? Are they a bit busy? Are they still into Yu-Gi-Oh? What's everyone doing? And are we going to see more of them?
First things first, not everybody lives in the same city. Again, people all think we live together, but we don't. Yeah. Alex is in a whole other state, actually. So, he kind of pops in when he comes to visit. He pops in for videos when he can. He gets in, and of course, we're also in constant contact. There's nothing, nobody's left out of the loop. It's just he's just not here. We're all very busy. Like I said, we all have jobs. Larry works a lot. I work a lot. Everybody just like doing things. Calvin is no longer with us. But it's nothing horrible. Like I said, Calvin's still our boy. In fact, we talk all the time. He said he wants to try something different. And as a man, you got to, and I mean, just as an adult, you got to step out and do your own thing, do what you feel like is best for you. We're always supportive of that, So he wants to step out and do something different. We are supportive of that. Again, there's no love lost. We still talk all the time. That's still my boy. So you may not see him as much for it, and I'm not sure. If he makes a cameo, we'll see how that goes, right? But he's still my boy. Alex, like I said, he pops in and out. Chris stays in another city. Larry, Paul, and I stay in the same city, but Larry's always in and out. And like I say, I'm just working or sleeping. So
that makes sense. Calvin's streaming now, right? Like 10ception, is it? Is he still doing that?
He hasn't done it recently, but it's also because his job kind of promoted him, so he's been really busy with that recently. But he did say he's coming back to that as well. But he's just, again, we're just busy adults. You know how that goes. So
that's what I mean. Like, I feel like sometimes viewers don't understand that like your favorite creators are actually people with lives, right? Like lives.
When I put the cards down, I'm no other person.
Yeah, because I feel like it was mentioned in maybe another video that Calvin and Chris lived in a different city. So it was like, oh, that makes sense why they're not in every video, sort of thing.
Right.
Because traveling must be like a ball ache. And like, I've seen like on your Twitter, like that you're a nurse and stuff. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense because that's a very busy job. Like, and obviously you're a father, as you mentioned. And then Larry's a law enforcer. These are a lot of important things going on, right? Like, yes, so I guess. Yes. I guess sometimes people might not just realize that, but I guess it's important to also, like you said, as a group, kind of be like, okay, so sit down and talk about where we're at, right? So we can be like, okay, we can have this going out then with X person, then Y over here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Makes it a little hard to schedule things too, but, we make it work.
That's what I mean. I feel like if the passion's there, you're always going to make it work, right?
Indeed.
100%. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to move into our final topic of the day. And so what we always do, Charles, we do this section called...
You always call it a session.
I know, I don't know what's going on. I haven't even started drinking yet, and I'm already doing wild.
So
it's called Am I the Arsehole? And basically we go on Reddit, we go on Am I the Arsehole, and we get one of the threads, and we just discuss it and see, is the person the arsehole based on the story? So this one is called... Am I the arsehole for not staying away longer so that my best friend and her boyfriend could have sex? So I'm going to go for it. It's very long, so I'm going to paraphrase. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. My best friend asked me to stay out of the flat for the evening so that her and her boyfriend could have a nice date night. I know they haven't had sex yet, so I knew that's what she meant. I had school from 1 p.m. and got home at 7. I kind of sensed that it was too early, so I went to my room and I thought it'd be okay because I didn't want to bother them. I texted my roommate an hour before I got home that I was coming back to give her a heads up. Now, I apologized to them for coming home so early, but they said it was okay, and we even ate dinner together. Today, I was eating breakfast, her boyfriend went home, and she's pissed off. I asked what they did yesterday, and she said, well, we obviously didn't sleep together because plans changed, and she was implying that I came home too early. And then now they're saying she's irritated. Now the friend is saying she's irritated, and... That's pretty much all of it that's relevant. That's relevant. None of else is relevant. So, is she the asshole? What do we think, guys?
It's a bit technical still.
I want to, in my opinion, there's one thing that makes it very clear to me that she's an arsehole, and it's this. It's when she said, so I apologized to them for coming home early, but then they said it was okay and we ate dinner together. That for me was
when
a red
you
flag.
said that, I was like, what?
It's Valentine's Day. What are you doing? Like, why are you there? Like, go eat dinner in your room. Yeah.
So, oh my god. So actually, I figured before that she was an asshole, and the reason why is because they had this talk prior to Valentine, and she agreed to it. So my thing is, you agreed to it knowing what my plan was, and you still chose to interrupt my plans, knowing. Now, granted, if I hit you last minute, I'm the asshole, right? Because you had any chance to plan, you're in school, you're tired. But if I tell you a day or two in advance, hey, this is the plan, and you say, okay, I agree, and then you still choose to go against it, automatic asshole. Before the dinner even came around, like you knew what this was in advance. You could have said right then and there, that's not going to work. I'm going to be really tired. I need to come home, and we could have gone from there. So that's just me, though.
Yeah, I think as well. The other thing for me as well is it's like, you know that it's Valentine's Day. You know they're going to do something.
Yeah.
It's like if I live in a house with you, I'm a horrible person if I now tell you can't come to your own house. So as you come home,
right.
Of course the friend said it was okay because she's like, she can't tell you not to come in your house.
What else is she going to say? No.
Yeah.
Don't come to your house.
And it's like, I'll be vexed. I'll be thinking, oh my days, I'm supposed to be getting something tonight. And like, why are you here? Like, just...
Yeah, you're just cramping my...
I can just imagine her in the dining room being like, how you doing, guys? Like, it's
like really passively aggressively, like, imagine past
the
bake. Yeah, so I think she's an arsehole, man. And I think the reason that I think this is because the specifically this, like the friend said, can you like stay out late or not come home, you know? And she specifically said, yeah, okay. Like, and I know being late is a matter of opinion, but 6 p.m. is not late
at all.
If you'd have said like she came back at 10, I'd be like, okay, like that's, you know, a bit more leeway. But like 7 o'clock and you going and eating dinner with them and like, nah, bro, it's Valentine's Day, man. Do your thing.
Can I just say, this is just me, and maybe I'm the asshole, but I still would have done it. I just want y'all to know, I still would have gone with my move. You knew the plan. You chose to interrupt the plan. I'm going to go with my move. I want you to know.
It is surprising that maybe she didn't, but I suppose everyone's different, right?
You know what I'm guessing as well? It's probably because it was their first time as well, so they'll probably both have been...
that makes sense.
Yeah. So
you want it to be special,
because
right?
I'm definitely on your side, Trell. If it was me and my wife, and then like someone came in, look, we're clapping all night. We're making noise, like
your problem, not mine.
Yeah, it shouldn't have come home. But yeah, I get why. That's the other thing as well. I think as well that the fact that the fact it's their first time as well, I think was another thing that probably added to the awkwardness, that you don't want someone in there's like, I don't know. This best friend.
Does it specify that like it was just their first time together, or was it like the roommate's first time full stop? Because if it's the first time full stop, that's a big thing.
I don't think it was. Let me check. No, I think it's just them two together, because it says, I know they haven't had sex yet. So that's what they're referring to. But,
fair enough.
So I guess, yeah, general consensus. She's an arsehole. Guys, look, Valentine's Day, don't cock block your friends. Come on, like.
Anybody, right?
Yeah, go to McDonald's, 24 hours McDonald's or something, and chill there, like. Let you have some fun.
Jam on your ones. Just go and jam on your ones, man. Go local.
But guys, we're coming up to the hour mark, and this has been an absolutely awesome episode. Thank you so much for coming on, Trell. Yeah, honestly and truly, this has been quite great. I would say, is there anyone... It's weird for me to say this, but I'm still going to say it. Is there anyone you want to shout out, Trell?
First, I'm going to shout you guys out at the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show. Thank you guys for having me on here.
Thank you.
Shout out to Paul for letting you have the office for the day. For the moment, at least. Shout out to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community for being great. I mean, there's a lot of weirdness in the community, but I think the community as a whole is a great community. So just shout out Jimmy, shout out to Konami for us having a game to play and to network and just make great friends. I've met a lot of great friends over the years. Shout out to all the Yu-Gi tubers, out there that's trying to do it, to make it big or just to have fun, just do what you love. That's pretty much it, man. Like, yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, loving it. It's been awesome having you, bro. So yeah, guys, that was the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show. I think this is episode 23. We'll see if I've got the